Let's now explore the different audio engines we have here in Meld. So as I've already mentioned, there are two oscillators or two engines. I'm going to turn off the second one because it's pretty much identical. Let's focus on engine A or oscillator A here. I'm playing a note right now and you can hear this pure sine wave tone. We're in the basic shapes algorithm. Let's check out what the first knob does. You can see we're switching to a triangle here, sawtooth here, and a square here. Very similar to a wavetable. What does tone do? Sounds more like wavefolding. That's pretty cool. But interestingly, when it's set to the square shape, that looks a lot more like pulse width modulation. Alright, so that's the basic shapes engine. Let's try the next one, dual basic shapes. So we have the same shapes, sine, triangle, sawtooth, square. But aside from that, we have this detune control, because that introduces the second waveform and you can detune it from the first. As you can hear, it has a pretty wide range. So that sounds like an entire octave. Not bad. I wish that this parameter could be set a bit more musically, but essentially that's the original note, octave above, and I guess at the 50% mark, you get a tritone. And around 60, you get that perfect fifth above. All right, so you can explore that. Next, let's check out noisy shapes. So I'll start with both of these down. So it sounds like a sine wave with a little bit of a fuzzy noise element to it. Looks like we have the same shapes as before, but let's introduce some roughness. That's pretty interesting. So initially it sounds like just adding in some noise, but eventually it really distorts the signal. Beautiful stuff. All right, next we have square sync. So this is very interesting. Frequency 1, we get that classic sync sound for a square wave. But we also have a second sync. You get this interesting vowel-like quality. So yeah, a lot of fun to play with. Next, square fifth. So right now it's just a square wave. Now we're introducing that fifth above. And we have pulse width control. More obvious when the fifth is down. Yeah, a bit harder to hear when the fifth is up. All right, next we have a sub. This is a bit more straightforward. So just a pure sine wave here, which we can bend a little bit, distort it almost to a square. And then with the aux, that adds the octave below, or the sub octave. Yeah, very helpful for bass sounds. Next, swarm sine. So this is also pretty interesting. I'm going to play a single note. Sounds pretty much just like a sine wave, but if I introduce some motion, you can hear it starts to warble with the pitch. It's like multiple sine waves just being detuned. Nice effect there. Let's introduce some spacing. And even when it's sitting still, you can hear the pitch movement. So kind of random pitch movement on all the different sine waves we're hearing. almost like that THX sound effect from the 70s. All right, next, swarm triangle. So same thing, but with the triangle shape instead. All right, pretty cool. Swarm saw, same thing with the sawtooth. This sounds a lot more like the THX sound effect. Or at least some kind of variation on that. Next we have swarm square. Nice, a lot of bright upper harmonics there. All right, moving on, we have harmonic FM now. All right, so single note back to a sine wave, increase the FM amount. As you'd expect, get some upper harmonics in the sound. And we can also change the FM ratio. Oh, that was at 0.8. That's why it sounded a little buzzy. Now it's much cleaner. I'll increase the ratio now. Again, just an odd way to set ratios. Usually it'll just be 1:1, 2:1, so on and so forth. But yeah, it basically does the same thing. If you worked with any FM synth, should be fairly straightforward. Next, we have fold FM. So I guess this is a combination of wave folding and FM synthesis. Yeah, this one sounds like it's adding that folding. And this is adding some very high frequency modulation. And oddly, the fundamental doesn't get affected much, it's just those upper harmonics. It's almost in the background, all the noisy elements. All right, so we're about halfway there. We will continue checking out the other engines in the next tutorial.